Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our series on reading the Constitution. I am your host, Mr. Constitution, and today we'll be continuing our reading of Article 1 of the Constitution, starting with Section 4. Here we go. The times, places, and manner of holding elections for senators and representatives shall be prescribed in each state by the legislature thereof, but the Congress may at any time, by law, make or alter such regulations, such as to the places, except as to the places of choosing senators. So, this clause is basically establishing that the states get to choose how they run their elections for senators and representatives, but Congress can, from time to time, make or alter regulations. So Congress can regulate how states run their elections in every way except for how senators are chosen, the place of choosing senators. So Congress can't change how senators are elected. Can't say that other people choose senators other than state legislatures. Which, spoiler alert, that gets amended in one of the amendments later. We'll go over that when we have time. We'll go over that when we get there. But this is basically just creating the framework for holding elections, and basically the states get to run their elections, and Congress can make laws to regulate how states do it. So the next clause: the Congress shall assemble at least once every year, and such meeting shall be on the first Monday in December, unless they shall by law appoint a different day. So, in 1776, Congress was not, I should say, in the late 18th century, the Congress didn't get to move around as freely as they can today. So Congress people would usually gather, do all the business, and then return to their states. It wasn't a quick plane ride home for the weekends. If you went to the Capitol to be part of the session of Congress, it was a trip. So this is basically saying Congress has to meet at least once a year, and sets the time and date when they will meet, unless, of course, they change it. So giving Congress the ability to change that. Now, so once a year sounds, like, oh man. Now it's just like, man, if only Congress only met once a year, that would be great. Oh man, imagine how much less interference they could give to our lives if they only met once a year instead of every day. People often get upset. I hear people whining about Congress not getting things done or going on vacation all the time. I would double their salary if they just stayed away from Washington, D.C. There is, not a lot good comes out of Congress meeting. That's just my opinion, though. Anyway, moving along. Section 5. Here we go. Each house shall be the judge of the elections, returns, and qualifications of its own members, and a majority of each shall constitute a quorum to do business, but a smaller number may adjourn from day to day, and may be authorized to compel the attendance of absent members in such manner and under such penalties as each house may provide. So this is basically kind of going into a little more detail on how the houses of Congress are organized. So each house is basically the judge of elections, returns, and qualifications for its own members. So the House of Representatives and the Senate basically gets to choose who was elected fairly to them and who wasn't. If there's ever a contest, if there's ever a dispute between who was rightfully elected, it is Congress who gets to choose. And a majority shall constitute a quorum. So a quorum is basically the minimum amount of members that must be present at a specific session in order for the session to be considered valid. So this is saying you need at least a majority, or at least 51% of the senators or representatives in their respective houses to be gathered in order for a quorum to be considered. So if the House or Senate ever gathers together and there's less than a majority of the membership there, it's not a quorum. They can't pass laws. But a smaller number may adjourn from day to day. So if you don't have a quorum, you may adjourn, and you may be also authorized to compel the attendance of absent members. So if you don't have a quorum, it is possible that the non-quorum gathering can compel attendance from those absent to develop a quorum. So this is instituted so that, like, if you've got a majority of representatives or senators who are not happy and don't want to do their jobs, the smaller gathering can compel them to attend and do their jobs, is basically what this is saying. So, and gives them pretty broad authority to compel the attendance of the absent members in such manner and under such penalties as each house may provide. So basically the House and Senate get to choose how they compel membership, how they compel their members to come, and how stiff the penalties could be. So the House and Senate are pretty much given some pretty broad powers there. Each house may determine the roles. Each house may determine the roles. Each house may determine the rules of its proceedings, punish its members for disorderly behavior, and with the concurrence of 2/3, expel a member. So this basically allows for the House or Senate to kind of come up with their own rules, and as well as the penalties for disciplining disorderly members of the body, and as well as gives the possibility to actually expel a member of the House or Senate. So if you've got someone in the Senate who just isn't playing ball, or is a disgrace, is breaking the rules and needs to be dealt with, if you can get 2/3 of the other members to agree, you can actually kick them out of the Senate or the House. So again, a little more detail on the powers that the House and Senate have in governing themselves. Again, pretty broad powers. The House and Senate have the broadest of powers. Next clause. Each house shall keep a journal of its proceedings from time to time, and from time to time publish the same, excepting such parts as may in their judgment require secrecy, and the yeas and nays of the members of either house on any question shall, at the desire of 1/5 of those present, be entered on the journal. So this is basically saying the House and Senate both have to keep a log of the proceedings, of what's going on, what they're working on, what they're doing, and they have to publish them from time to time, except parts that may, in their judgment, require secrecy. So if you're working on national security or other parts of law that may be deemed sensitive, the House and Senate don't have to publish or journal what they're doing, unless but the yeas and the nays, or in other words, who votes for one way or the other for any question, shall, at the desire of 1/5 of those present, be entered on the journal. So if a fifth or 20% of the people voting on any measure want it, they can actually require that the yeses and the nos, whoever voted for and against a bill, are recorded. So we can know who voted which way on things. So again, more relatively broad powers with this clause, a very direct thing, and we see here the desire of the founders to make sure that what's happening in these houses of government, in these houses of Congress, is public and is available to the public, because it doesn't say like keep it in a box somewhere. It says publish. So Congress is supposed to actually be making this available to the public, saying, all right, this is what we've done. This is where you can see what we've done. And that's why in America you can request proceedings. There are, of course, concerns for national security, and so there are some things that you can't get access to, which makes sense. But I feel sometimes like Congress is pretty quick to say, "Oh, this is a national security measure or matter," and so we're not gonna publish some things. We have a lot of things happening behind closed doors. It feels like sometimes, and that's not what we really wanted to do, not what the founders really had in mind. But it is what it is. So this is why we should keep track of who's voting which way, so we can know who needs the boot. And finally, in Section 5, last part of Section 5, neither house during the session of Congress shall, without the consent of the other, adjourn for more than 3 days, nor to any other place than that in which the two houses shall be sitting. So basically, this is pretty straightforward. One of the things I really appreciate about the Constitution is it's all relatively straightforward. It was written so that your average person could read it, could listen, or could hear it, and understand what the rules are. I feel like this is something our government has gotten away from with the pages and pages of laws that it passes, that no one really understands what's in it. As Nancy Pelosi was quoted as saying at one point, we have to pass the bill so that we know what's in it, which is just insane. Anyway, so neither house. So this section basically is saying like the House or the Senate doesn't get to adjourn for more than 3 days without the consent of the other body, and you don't get to, and you can't move away. So the houses of Congress are supposed to work together. So you can't. It doesn't make sense for the House to suddenly decide, you know what, in the early days of the Republic, the House and the Senate may have were all gathered in one place like they are today. But if the House decided, you know what, we're going to move our proceedings to another city, that doesn't really make much sense. So this is basically kind of tying the two houses of Congress together, so that they have to work together. They don't get to just do their own thing. They have to be in communication with each other and working together in order for the system to work. So that's it for today. We've read sections 4 and 5 today of Article 1. We'll continue next time with Section 6. If you found this informational and enjoyable, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And if you have your own ideas, if you don't like anything I said, put them in the comment section below. I'd love to hear from you. Let me know what you think of these videos and how I can improve the channel or anything like that. I really appreciate it. If you've made it this far into this session or into this video, I really appreciate it. Thanks again, and we will catch you next time.